It's going to be real nice on Wednesday if anyone wants to visit Michigan. Oh, hey, everyone! Thanks for tuning in. Friday night, Saturday morning for me over here in Japan. Thanks for tuning in. Episode, what are we on? Everyone, 63. Episode 63. What you listen to? It's going to be a great show.
You're in Japan right
I'm
now?
in Japan. You didn't know that about me. Yeah, I'm in the future.
I'll be there in a month. So
where are you coming? You coming to Osaka?
Yeah, I think so. Let me find the dates. But my old band, Mike Yannich, is doing a reunion tour there.
Beautiful. That's like March.
Yeah, April. It's like April 2nd to the 8th or something.
Oh, you'll definitely be playing Osaka. I'm sure of it.
You know what? We are not. We're playing
Kobe, Kyoto.
We're playing Kyoto.
Pizza, Pop Pizza.
Yep.
All right.
We'll be there on April 5th.
Gotcha. Everyone in Kyoto, make sure
because that's not so far from Osaka, right?
It's pretty. Yeah, it's like a 30-minute train ride.
Oh,
that's a cool place too. Pop Pizza's a great venue. Cool.
Sweet. Place. Yeah. I'm buds with John Jughead from Screeching Weasel, and he lives in Osaka. Beautiful. I'm pretty sure.
All right, it's gonna be a great show.
James,
is he here? James, hang on. Let me check the chat. I haven't checked the chat yet. There he is. Cheers, James.
We've got a cheers. Everyone.
Let's give a cheers to James. He's having a bit of a. Hey, James, how you doing? He's I don't know if we can we tell everyone what's going on, James? James, had a bit of an accident. He's in hospital, but we wish him well. Ooh. Speedy recovery.
We got Andrew Orlando.
Andrew's here. Pam's here. James says he's been better. There you go. Take it easy, my friend.
But we can talk about it, apparently.
There you go. All right.
James was in a motorcycle accident, for anybody curious.
Yeah.
And to the point where some of the photos on Instagram got blurred out, where usually if someone sends you click yes to look at it. And it's like like a drunk uncle riding through a ring of fire with PBR chain around his neck. This was not that. This was like a serious
gnarly
sad thing from a friend. Pretty gnarly. So we're all hoping he gets better soon, and we're hoping that you actually make some connections there and can bring back some great power pop from Thailand.
Yes.
Let's turn this rainbow. Let's put a silver cloud around this rainbow.
Yep.
Foster, take your show back over.
Yeah, I forgot where I was for a second. What are we doing? That's what we're doing. What are you listening to? It's going to be a great show. Mike's back. Paul's back. Mikey's here. First time. Thanks for coming on. I know you've had a bit of a hectic, busy week there.
Yeah, I've been a little busy, but it's all good. I got my beer. I'm all good.
What's everyone drinking tonight? As we know, beers or alcohol in general is an integral part of the show. What's everyone drinking tonight?
I've got a hazy little thing IPA because they had it at the corner store.
There you go. Paul?
We have a really great brewery near. I live in Astoria, Queens, and there's a really great brewery called Single Cut here, and they just released a new kind of citrusy IPA today, and I was going to go down and get some, and I just got too lazy and didn't. But
lazy
so
IPA.
I just got the hazy little thing IPA.
There you go. I got my Sapporo
special.
So is that what I'm? That's what I should drink when I'm over there.
Of all the kind of major label beers that you'll find in convenience stores, like Sapporo is my personal favorite. Asahi. Least favorite, but a lot of people do like Asahi. It's not a person.
I've had the American or the whatever, I've had them both here, but I don't know. I assume
like the real Japanese one, right?
Yeah, I assume they're better there.
I would go like Sapporo, Ebisu, Kirin, Suntory, Asahi in that order. So
okay,
that's just my opinion. Try more. See which one.
Okay, yeah, I will.
What do you got going?
I've got some lightweight lager. some crappy craft beer that was given to me by work customers. They've used my likeness on the can, which is pretty impressive. But other than that, it's not too bad.
All the way down to the fruit of the looms. How did they get that photo?
Yeah. Well,
probably a screenshot from the show.
I got a bottle of the Scotch whiskey called Peat Monster that I'm going to work on, and hopefully we got 2 hours to finish this thing off.
All right. That's a challenge.
Good luck, my friend.
I hope you all feel like getting
if
pregnant
only you could
tonight,
put it through the screen, I would have some of it.
All right. Shall we get going? It's going to be a good 2 hours of 20 records or more. If anyone's got any extras or we've got some doubles. Let's get going.
I've got a few.
Nice. I have two just in case. All right. Michigan. I'm starting with Michigan. How about that? There you go. Michigan. This is actually
down here. Are we going counterclockwise? Because right now,
these days we just do it like I start and then we go. It'll be me, Woodford, Mikey, and then
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this.
Drapson, aka Paul Bayer, will be the last.
So last time I was on here was 36 weeks ago.
And
my life was in turmoil. Things were crazy. Most of my stuff was in storage. I was sitting, there was blank walls behind me when I did this, and it was all just what I mail ordered. I had to pull in. One time I forgot we had to have 5, and I only had 4, so then I just reached and grabbed the tape. Happened to be a tape I like, so I had some things to say about it. It was like an inch away from like a docking tape, which I could have had things to say about it, but they wouldn't have been as polite with later ears. So post-divorce, getting everything out of storage. I've got this like wall of records behind me. So I've been going back into stuff that I haven't heard in a long time. And since you wanted to start with Michigan.
No. I'm going to start with Michigan. I've got a record.
I thought you were starting with me.
We're going to. That's funny. I've got a record from Michigan. I'm going to involve you quite a lot in this first pick, though, because.
Then I love it. I hope it's the same record and you can pass it down to me.
It's because of you that I bought this record, in fact. You talked about this band on this very show. A Michigan band. Not only Michigan, but Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Ring any bells?
Yeah.
So this is the record that you showed last time you were on. Here it is. Cloud Rat.
Fucking Cloud Rat.
Cloud Rat. Took me a while to find this however long it was since you were last on. Yeah, it took me a while to find this. But the good news is I found this and 2 other records by this band on the same day, in the same store, all of a sudden. So this is the one that Paul talked about last time. Cloud Rat, Michigan band. This is the one I'm going to show.
I've never heard them. What do they sound like?
Wow, this is a good question. Everyone wants to know what they sound. It's a tough band to describe. If you look them up, it'll say like.
Those are some of my favorite bands, or like the ones that are tough to describe.
Right, it's like grindcore band.
Okay.
And they're not, I would say.
Okay.
Right, Paul? It's like there's a lot going on. There's
some of the first early records might be just like minimal synth with like screamy ethereal vocals, almost Elizabeth Fraser-ish in the background, and just soundscape stuff. But go ahead.
Well, on this one, they're kind of more known for like shorter songs. This one, they do like 1 19-minute epic on this record. It's a split record with a band called Disrotted. I'm not going to talk about Disrotted too much. I'm going to talk about Cloud Rat. Man, there's a lot going on in like this one song. There's a little bit of grindcore. There's a little bit of like prog rock. There's blast beats, but like not blast beats as you know them. It kind of almost sounds like jazz drumming. It's insane. The guitar player is fucking amazing.
You're saying all of my favorite words, you know?
Right? Like honestly, like on paper, I shouldn't like this band. There's a lot of things but they just pull everything off. And they've got like I've seen what's her name? What's the name of the vocalist, Paul? The vocalist has an amazing voice. Like it's like Madison is her name.
Madison.
There you go.
And they're a 3-piece.
They're a 3-piece.
Oh,
yeah,
wow, nice.
yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of that like screamo-ish going on, and a little bit of like black metal kind of style vocals too.
Mm-hmm.
But when she does it, it's a whole different like level of emotion. I want to say you can actually like feel like the anger and the emotion in her delivery of the vocals. It's quite incredible, actually.
Yeah, Brandon, that drummer, is like one of my favorite drummers to watch. I've seen him in like a minimal synth bands. I've seen him in like power violence bands. I've seen him doing like every kind of style of music, and he can really manipulate the flow of the song with everything he's doing. He's just fucking great to watch. And
honestly, there's like a passage in this song where like he's doing like blast beats, but it sounds like Art Blakey, you know, Art Blakey at like full pelt. It does, right? And a lot of hi-hat. It's wild, man. It's really wild. Yeah.
Okay, what are they called again? Just I want to make sure that
Cloud Rat.
Cloud Rat. Okay, that's what okay. I'm making a list.
They have a few full lengths. They have a lot of split records too. This is amazing. That's like a trifold. It's like a progressive rock record.
I love the idea that there's a split record that's they just did an epic. Like, I mean, this is you're literally mentioning everything that I want in a band. So
it's amazing.
Like the thing about them, I feel is like with every record, they literally could call themselves like a different name. But I think because Cloud Rat, I don't know, just the movement of clouds can be so different from time to time. Each record is so fucking different. You know, it's pretty incredible.
And they're from Michigan?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
They've been around for a while, right? They've been around for like 10 years or more.
Yeah, I've seen them at MDF a couple times, and they're just like, we don't know why we're here, but I'm like, yeah, fucking, I know why you're here.
It annoyed me a bit when I kind of just looked them up, and it just says like grindcore band from which I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's so much more to this band, you know, like so much more to this band than just like grindcore, you know. It's but, you know. People like to pigeonhole things, right? So you got to label, I guess. So.
And then it's usually never like you hear that and you're just like, I don't hear what they're saying.
Nah, there's no like, you know, just like the only thing that is grindcore is the blast beats, and even the blast beats sound like fucking Art Blakey. So it's like, you know,
amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah. Where would you suggest starting though? Like I said, I wouldn't know where to start with this band if I was a newcomer. I mean, for me, I started with this one, the one that Paul recommended to me, and then I moved on to this one. But
where would I recommend you start?
Yeah, because you're more of an expert on this band than me. So
I don't know. Like if I was recommending it to somebody who was like into like goth and a little bit of the slower, darker stuff, I'd start with one of the earlier records. The one that you have, the multicolored thing, is a great like midpoint where they showcase a lot of things, and that split is incredible because that's just like an exercise in like, hey, we get one side, so let's just do everything we've always thought of.
I want to say that's kind of where I'm gonna want to start, is like the thing where they just throw everything in at a 19-minute wall, and like
both of these are great. Both of these are
cool. Yeah, because I'm not super into like the gothier side of stuff. I mean, it's not something I dislike, but I think the more like if it's more fast blast beaty kind of stuff, I'd be into that stuff a little more.
The B-side, that band Disrotted, they're a funeral doom band if anyone is interested.
Okay,
on the other side. But they're a pretty good funeral doom band. It's not terrible, but I'm not going to play that side very much.
Well, while we're on this subject of power violence and grindcore, I'm going to put this out to the audience. I'm desperate to find a copy of the new Charles Bronson Youth Attack box set that I just somehow fucking missed that it was coming out, and I can't find it for less than $500, and I would like to pay. Yeah, it's going for. I found like one cool place that I thought might give me like at least like, you know, flip it for like $50 more, but they were like, yeah, $350. It's like, fuck. I just want to pay like $200 for it.
It just came out like a couple of weeks ago, right? So,
yeah, but like apparently
they were
sold out
gone
super.
immediately.
Yeah, they were gone like super quickly, and it was only when people started posting that they were getting them that I realized it happened.
right.
And I really want one because I love that fucking record. But
yeah, I have one. I have I got one. Like the minute it came out, I
Yeah.
had an alert like bleep up, and I was one of the first few because like 10 minutes later, the version I got was like sold out.
Yeah,
But at the
yeah,
same
somehow
time,
just
I haven't
missed
put it all yet. I will.
Well, it's cool because apparently they remixed it and they put like a
Mm.
bunch of like tracks that weren't in, like
Yeah.
guitar tracks and stuff that weren't in the original. I mean, man, I gotta hear it. So if anybody's got one, I'll pay you $200 for your copy that you bought for $150.
There you go.
I might even go $250.
Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, as soon as it came out, I texted a bunch of buddies, and Andrew Orlando was one of them. And I was like, Andrew, what's up? And he's like, bling, got one. Yeah.
That's a Youth Attack thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their 100th release, I think.
Okay.
Leave it to Mark McCoy to do
Yeah.
another awesome obscure.
It's just, it's so funny because I'm like, I love box sets. I love like big books. I love Power Violence. And like somehow like this thing that I never thought would ever happen that just ended up happening. I just completely fucking missed out on it.
I would say that maybe you just need better friends.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
Clearly,
Well, a couple
got my back.
friends told me they were like, dude, I posted about it like 5 times. I was like, I don't know how I missed it. Anyway,
if anyone's watching, Charles Bronson box set, let us know in the comments.
If you bought that second one to flip, I'll give you $250 for it.
All right, Mr. Woodford, what you got? Your first break. What you got for us?
All right, I'm starting out semi-local to me. Its record came out late last year, I think in October, on a label called Memorable But Not Honorable, which is kind of my life's coda. It's a band from Hamilton, Ontario, called Golden Shitters. It's fantastic. There you go. How'd you get that? It's this to me, this the up tempo tracks on this, they sound like the Mark Meng with a brain injury, but other times it's kind of more in the Hex Dispensers vein with a little bit of the spits in there. Band's made up of people that have played in like a million, like they're in Anxious Pleasers and Flesh Rag and Plastic Heads, so there's a pretty good pedigree there. But I heard this was coming. I hadn't heard the band. I hadn't seen them live or anything, but pretty pleasantly surprised with it. It's super, super good. If you like just simple, snotty, kind of dumb punk rock, and I mean, really, who doesn't? Then, the Golden Shitters, that'll scratch that itch for sure. It's good stuff.
I wish you guys would have talked about this beforehand, so you could have went like this.
I didn't know that Mike was going to show it. So
that's awesome.
You just had it at the ready.
Yeah.
You just had it
because Mike actually sent me a copy, so that's why I have one. But
that's fucking so great.
Yeah.
You said all of the great things.
It's
like Mark Men with a head
really
injury.
good.
Spits, like
perfect.
I'm invested.
Well,
right
it's like the spits in that it's got like the kind of minimal synth, like the synth's almost used as like an accent on it, and it's like the slower, more mid tempo tracks are kind of more in the Hex Dispensers vein. Like his voice almost takes on that kind of croony kind of atmosphere type thing to it, but the up tempo tracks totally the Mark Meng with a brain injury. But it's really good, and I don't think too many people will probably ever hear about this band, but if you get a chance to get this record, then totally get it. It's good.
I can vouch for everything that Mike said. It's amazing. Yeah, I had it as like a lowbrow Dirtnap Records kind of thing. You know, it's like kind of could have been on Dirtnap, but it's even a bit more lowbrow, which is like Mark Meng with the brain injury.
I love but now I'm going to think about
they're playing in Hamilton right now, actually. So
wow.
See, I skipped on that gig to hang out with you guys.
Sacrifices. you make.
The sacrifices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you all ever heard
Wouldn't have
the
any of
band?
those.
There's a band called Nuclear Santa Claus that were on
Oh.
Don Giovanni, and that's like Mark Man with a brain injury is a perfect description of that band as well. Like,
When did that
super
come
like
out?
probably like 2013 to 16 they were like active. But yeah, total like Ramones worship, but also Spitz worship, but also like Mark Men worship, and they kind of they sing and
I
like
would
a
love
go,
that.
go, go. It's
But are
Yeah,
they
super good.
all like are they all Christmas themed songs?
No,
Oh.
nothing to do with actual Christmas. Nothing to do with
That's
Christmas.
that's a
like,
bummer then. But I get
Which-
it.
Just a trick
which is
there.
like so like yeah, because you know there could be a gimmick there, but there's no gimmick. It's just that they're like they just make like mindless fucking punk rock music, and it's so good. It's so good.
Nice.
Agreed.
I never heard of that. I followed Don Giovanni pretty closely, and somehow that I don't know. Like
Yeah, it was one of the
dudes.
He doesn't I don't think he has anything to do with the label anymore. It was one of the co-owners back in
Like the
that
Jeff
era.
Nelson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jeff Nelson of Don Giovanni.
Yeah, it's the three of it's the three of Don Giovanni. Or the high back chairs or whatever.
I love that band. Talking of Don Giovanni, as we are, I love that band. Big Eyes. Their records on.
Love that band.
Yeah.
So good.
I talked about them before on the show. Great band. Where were we? Mikey, it's your first pick, right?
Oh, it's me. Okay. Well, so
Sweet.
it's funny because I've been doing this prepping for this Laura Jane Grace tour, so I literally have only listened to Laura Jane Grace for the last like 3 weeks. But I do have a couple things that when I needed a break, I listened to some stuff. This actually, I'll throw this one out here. This was a Record Store Day release. Screaming Trees. Wrong Turn at Jahannam. So apparently they made their album Uncle Anesthesia, and their drummer quit right after, and they kind of were gonna break up, but then they were like, what if we get Dan Peters from Mudhoney to play drums for us?
What the fuck?
Maybe we can do that, because Mudhoney's kind of like Mudhoney was like on a break or breaking up or something. So Dan Peters was in Screaming Trees for about, I don't know, 9 months or something, and they just happened. They were rehearsing at Egg Studios, and Mark Lanigan was just like, "Hey, Conrad, roll tape. Like, fuck it. Like, we're sounding good. Like, let's record the set." So they recorded this live in the studio, and it's the only recording of Dan from Mudhoney with Screaming Trees, and it's fucking phenomenal. And it just came out. I think Brooklyn Vegan just put out like a their like limited color version of it, so I think it's getting like a wider release other than just the Record Store Day thing at this point. Hopefully it'll be up digitally or something, because it's really just like kind of mind-blowing to hear those songs played with Dan Peters like super distinct style of drumming on them. It's super cool.
Was it like his like tryout of their old songs? Is there anything on there that hasn't made it? Were they like practicing him? They're like, hey, let's try this one. It's called number 2 or whatever.
No, it's like no new songs. It's just like literally they were about to go on tour with someone.
That's incredible.
It was just them practicing the set, and they got it down, and they were like, let's roll tape. And so it's basically the set list that they were going to do opening for whoever the hell they were opening up for at that moment. And it's just, so it's a good mix of like a lot of the SST era stuff and a bunch of the songs from Uncle Anesthesia. It's super good. And it's just, yeah, it's amazing to hear just like a different take on these songs, because the drummer makes a whole lot of difference. And especially if it's like someone like Dan Peters is one of those drummers where you just know that you're listening to him. He's just got such a distinct style. So
does it change the sound of the songs you were used to hearing them?
Yeah.
Like, did he learn
Definitely.
the
Yeah.
songs the way they were played, or is you just
Yeah.
like,
You
oh,
know, he's playing
this is
them.
my song now?
Right. No, he doesn't like rewrite the parts or anything like that, but it's just like
Right.
it's just a different dude like putting his
Got you.
spin on those
Nice.
songs, and it's super cool.
That's awesome.
And it's cool because it's just like them kind of just plowing through it live in the studio. So it's got that cool kind of energetic aspect to it too.
That's a great pick. I did not know about this at all.
That's a weird thing about that band. Like on different levels of popularity, you see like I think Jawbreaker's an underrated band or whatever. Like, and it's like, no, it's fucking not, right? Like a lot of bands when you see that, you're like, no, that band's rated appropriately. But I do feel like at that level that the Screaming Trees were at and kind of even like Mudhoney to a certain extent, like during that 90s peak, like those were bands that were like underrated. They were playing like 500 capacity club shows, maybe playing a show or two with like Pearl Jam with 10,000, 20,000 people in the audience. Then the next night they play like McGregor's in Chicago or something like that. Like, and I like Screaming Trees are like one of those bands that just never quite like had that click. And
because they had that like, you know, semi kind of buzzbin hit with Nearly Lost You, but
fucking great song too. Like
it's
you can't
incredible.
deny.
But yeah, I don't know what they're like. What a Screaming Trees headlining show at the height of grunge was probably still at like a 500 capacity club or whatever, you know, or maybe even less. Like, because I feel like Mudhoney was bigger than them, kind of.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's
something like a band like Soul Asylum got massive. I don't know, but
dude, Hang Time is a great fucking record.
I agree.
I
love those Quintone
any
Soul
day.
Asylum.
Yeah, like,
and the horse they rode in on is great.
Yeah. Wait, is it my turn now?
It is your turn. Let's talk about Michigan
again. Yeah, I'd like to do that, and that's where I'm going to start. So, Michigan, Southwest Michigan as a whole is just. Lots of clouds here, Rust Belt Records. No, I'm not. This is people know Negative Approach. People know The State, and this band I'm going to pull up has equal parts of that. It's a newer band, but they also have that other part of Michigan, that darker, almost grotesque, poetic side of like the Crucifix. The Elder Gods. You guys know this band?
First time.
Never heard of
It's tremendous old school 80s like hardcore, right? But then also quirky and weird in a way, and inspirational, where the lyrics are, some of the lyrics are to a point where like almost like cringy in a way that they should be. That like I don't really. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll fucking quote some stuff.
I knew you was
gonna. The circumcised and well-held baron had it sweeter than a blowjob from the ice cream's mom's mother, and that just like repeats for a while, then goes on and on, and that's totally sang in like the band The Inbred, the Crucifix, and just like this crazy chaotic way. And if you ever happen to have the pleasure in your life to see them live, you're going to be so involved with hanging out and just watching this band play and capture you that you're not even going to notice that somehow they not only did all get naked, but then also all switch into women's clothing as you're like watching them play, and had no idea it was happening because you're hanging on every fucking weird beat the drummer's playing and every lyric that's being articulated over like the crazy bass lines and just like the shouting of the bass player. It's the most magnetic thing, the most magnetic band I think I've ever seen in my life. And to have them just do inspiring hardcore, if that makes any sense. There's so much hardcore and stuff I hear right now that just sounds like stuff that I've already heard before. And this might be the first record in the past 15, 20 years that kind of goes outside the guidelines and dares to be odd, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
If you like the Crucifix, if you like Negative Approach, if you're familiar with the dark clouds of the Middle West and just sort of like the rainbow, the gradient gray rainbow of sorrow that showers over us the whole time. Them being from Kalamazoo, they have a couple balmy spring days and where the mint fields from the southeast sort of blow across Kalamazoo, so the entire town sounds like mint. But that's like very few for like what they actually have to deal with down there. It's inspiring that a record this dark and chaotic and poetic and horrible came out of there, and I love it so much. What label released? They released it themselves. Look up the.
There you go.
This is the front cover,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the back cover.
The Elder got to kill them all.
Kill them all.
Kill them all.
Yeah,
I love it. I
inspiring
have a running list. I'm excited to.
They've got a ridiculous.
Yeah, I think
song
I need
here.
that one.
They've got a ridiculous song on here called "Dirty Dancing." Basically the guy is so upset that they remade Dirty Dancing that he kicked down like a homeless village, burnt a cop car down. Then when they made Ghostbusters, he just went on a different rampage and burned down housing developments. And like, but it's a ridiculous song, but the way that the song is paced and the way they're singing, you're like, yeah, I fucking get that. Like, I get upset sometimes when like the donut I want, they don't have anymore, right? Like, it's just a ridiculous amount of rage that sometimes we feel for things that you shouldn't be upset about. Like, this fucking pencil lead broke. God damn it! I'm gonna fucking kill a person. It's
Perfectly
great.
reasonable.
that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Understandable. I need that record.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sold.
amazing. Yeah.
So good. They've got a 10-inch and this 12-inch. And yeah, it's great because it's the same songs on each side, and I think 16 songs on each side. You know what? It's so silly that it's ridiculous. You got to put an extra dick in there. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing.
I'll be
That
getting
rules.
Me too. Without even checking it out, Paul has just this eloquent. Yeah, now I've got to follow that with my. I don't know. But hark! Did you hear that? The trash truck just rolled by.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's not an ice cream truck.
So everyone thinks it's an ice cream truck. In Japan, this is the jingle that the trash truck makes.
What do your ice cream trucks sound like then? It's like
I don't think I've never seen an ice cream truck. I don't think we have them. We have trash trucks instead of ice cream.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
So what's a trash truck?
Why I just use like, well, why don't they have ice cream in other countries in little trucks? Like I fucking.
What's a trash truck?
Oh, it's the garbage man. The garbage man.
Okay.
Like the guys that come around and collect the. They let us know they're coming with that wonderful jingle.
Okay, that's sweet.
It's your weekly Japan trash delivery.
Yes. There you go.
Oh, that's what this is.
Hey, you guys. Anyone like taking brown acid and skateboarding shirtless around San Francisco?
Always
guilty as charged.
There you go. I've got the record. I've got just the record for you guys because that's what these guys do. Hot lunch. Look at that. Look at that artwork. Look at that artwork.
That's incredible.
Okay, yeah.
Hot lunch from San Francisco on TeePee Records. It's like garage rock, like psychedelic rock, proto metal. It sounds like Foghat meets Blue Cheer meets Lord Baltimore. Like
That's
on skateboards, you know.
Wow.
They're all skaters. I don't know if you guys are into bands like Lecherous Gaze, who are kind of Annihilation Time affiliated. Has a little bit of that vibe. It's got like that garage rock with proto metal, early ground funk, tons of wah-wah.
Wait, early Grand Funk?
Early Grand Funk.
Hey, when this call is over, I'm going to tell you guys a fucking crazy story. Anyway, go ahead.
Great band. The first song's called Handy Denny. Not Sandy Denny, but Handy Denny.
Love it.
So what was the brown acid thing? Like, do they do that?
Well, I don't know, but that's what they put in their bio, you know. That's what it sounds like. It's like psychedelic skateboarding, you know.
Well, the brown acid thing is a Woodstock reference,
right? And there's that whole.
It's also the series of compilations too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What we're up to, like number 17 or 18 now. It's all like underground, like garage bands, like psych bands from the 60s. This band could be on one of those compilations. That kind of sums up perfectly, actually. It's like they're doing that kind of thing, like an undiscovered garage band from psychedelic garage band from the 60s or early 70s. It's great stuff.
How long have they been around?
This one came out in 2013. It's their first LP, so they've got 3 out. This is my favorite. There you go. Skateboard on the back. There you go.
I love that if that came out then and it's in that area or that era of time, then their dads were probably at the farm or at Gilman or all those old Muabe shows and all of that shit. Yeah. So that's how they got into it, which is crazy.
It's cool though. There's a different punk vibe to this band. It's not there's a lot of popular bands that are kind of mining the 60s and 70s, right? Who are out there. This is very you can tell it's kind of made by punks. It's got that punk edge to it. It's a great band. I'm going to read their little bio because it's hilarious. I don't usually do this, but it's a unique blend of brown acid skate rock, wah fuzz, proto metal, born in the bowels of satanic rituals, biker beer busts, and wizard staff meetings.
Oh shit! So they got a little Hotel California in there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
There's Anton LaVey experts.
They
know their influences. That's the shit.
There are groundhogs in there too, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Anyone heard this band? Great band. I know Scoots is a fan.
No, I'm learning a lot of shit tonight. I'm very excited to be here.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, could have been on a brown acid comp. Yeah.
Woodford.
Will. Just as an addendum to this. Mike, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
Because I was going to say, to me, they're like an American version of this other band that I talked about before from England. This band. The Admiral Sir Cloudsley Shovel. This is the American version of this band, I want to say.
Did that also come out in 2013?
No, this is old. On your left hand? This is actually it might have. It's kind of of this era. This is a Rise Above Records thing from England, Lee Dorian's label. But this is more British, like Groundhogs. This is more like Grand Funk, MC5, Sir Lord Baltimore kind of thing. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff.
The British one you showed, I would have passed up thinking it was like a comp with Jefferson Airplane and stuff on it, but there you go. That's fucking ridiculous. I love it so much. Holy shit, they up it. I mean, it's not as good as that Olivia Newton-John Gatefold, but that's still pretty fucking awesome.
It's great.
Check them before you wreck them.
That's like old school
file under painfully British.
Right. To me, this is really American, and this is really British, and they're kind of mining the past of both countries. So good bands. Hot Lunch. That's a great band name too, right? Hot Lunch.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my second pick. All right, Mike, what's your?
I'm gonna propose a scenario here. Just bear with me, if you will. I'm assuming we're all familiar with Sam Kinison, right? The comedian.
I like where this is going. Go where the food is.
So, okay. So picture, if you will, Sam Kinison. wakes up in the middle of the night, probably from, a cocaine-induced slumber. Not judging, just saying.
Well,
and
there's no such thing as a cocaine-induced slumber. But...
right.
Well,
how would that happen?
After, a coming down from cocaine-induced slumber.
All the serotonin is gone, you collapse.
And so he's on his way to the washroom or to, get a drink or fix a sandwich
This is Sam
or something.
Kinison we're still talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And he just, in the dark of the night, he just stubs his toe on the coffee table. So this next band here, the vocalist sounds exactly like what he would sound like if he stubbed his toe on the coffee table in the middle of the night. It's a band from Chicago called Stress Positions. It's on 31G, came out in December of last year. It is like the vocals in this are just absolutely fucking scathing, and it sounds like Sam Kinison if he got put over the edge. It's members of that band Chew. It's members of Chew that were on Iron Lung.
Okay,
different singer though, but it's a female singer, and she just is absolutely enraged. The drumming in this is just over the top. It's like, yeah, I like Chew quite a bit, but this is like miles ahead of that. It's fucking great. I was not prepared for how good this band actually is. So at first I was like, yeah, it's just going to be the continuation of Chew, and I mean, in a sense it kind of is, but it's just much better than what I expected, right? But the vocals, absolutely angry as fuck, and it's fast as hell. And it's got the discordant guitars. It's pretty driving, but the drumming puts it over as well. The drummer is incredible. So yeah, positions. It's called Harsh Reality. It's on 31G.
I didn't realize that 31G was still putting out records, so that's interesting to me.
Neither did I.
Okay,
yeah,
great. That's awesome. Do they cover Wild Thing?
They did. They have another record that's, I believe they have another record on Iron Lung, but it's like one side. They have a one-sided 12-inch on Iron Lung as well. I think it's on Iron Lung. It's just their demo, but this is the first, I guess, full length, as it were.
To the audience, who was the woman that was in the Wild Thing video? Because now I'm curious about that. It wasn't Tony Katane, but I think
no, it was she's on Howard Stern all the time, or she was.
But the one thing I'd like about the
Jessica Hahn
vocal, Jessica Hahn. That's right. I knew it had some sort of political thing going on.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Sam Kinison stubbing his toe, like, yeah, that guy made some mistakes, so I can understand how he would like keep like continually kicking his toes to keep that vocal syncopated to a point. Like, I can see that. I fucking wrote it down. I want that record.
As soon as I heard it, that's the first. I just
sent it to me. Put me on your mailing list.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, she totally sounds like Sam Kinison, like in a bad spot. So,
what is it?
Super good.
I think probably, yeah, maybe when hasn't he been in a bad spot?
Well,
from ministry to death. I guess there were some great times.
He was a minister, so that's a bad spot of a different sort.
Other than like the drumming, how's like the musicality of it? Like, is it all just
it's great? I mean,
is it like 300 songs in 4 minutes, or?
No, they're there's like 9 songs.
Oh shit! Just, it goes up and down. Like, all right. So
yeah,
it's not all just like. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not like crazy. It sounds like something like It's like not grindcore, but it's not really power violence. It's like something like a He Who Corrupts, maybe, where they're kind of like a really metallic kind of not quite grindcore. You know what I mean? Like they're super fucking fast. They're musically proficient. Her vocals are insane, and the drumming is like just off the wall. So yeah, it sticks out above other bands of that style for sure.
When you said like 31G, what's kind of history like? What's been out on like that label before?
31G. Oh, they started like
wasn't it all stuff like
late
stuff
90s,
like the Locust and stuff?
Yeah, the Locust.
Okay.
And like,
that's right. Yeah.
Like prior to Youth Attack, I think that like McCoy had some 31G record. Mark McCoy had some 31G records out on there. They were like that avant-garde punk stuff, like LA centric for a while. Like I remember when I'd see 31G bands, like their jeans would have like the 4-inch cuffs, white belts. And this is like not I was just like they had like a fashion aspect to what they were doing, like an aesthetic to like their entire thing, right?
Well, it's funny because I kind of equate like Justin's bands, like the Locust and stuff like that, or like not or Swing Kids, I guess, or whatever. Like kind of had that look.
Yeah,
Man,
great fucking bands, and I like that they had like that. They brought it with them, like where they went. Dude, I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm in my 50s, but like there was a thing when like swing music sort of like came into popularity and that swing era stuff and like punk rock and like I think that
the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Well, yes, but it came into hardcore too. In a way,
the squirrel nut zippers.
The squirrel nut zippers. Yeah. Isn't that ska?
Hey,
it's all the same, man.
I was gonna say
one real quick.
I don't know that I knew that it found its way into kind of hardcore as well. I don't know that I knew that. That's
the stylistic portion of like having style with the band, like the way the Jam did, right? Like the Jam weren't businessmen, but they had suits and they like fucking dressed up for shit. The same way that like 31G sort of brought a style into hardcore and punk. Here's the funny thing about like swing music is the World Inferno needed a show, and the World Inferno Friendship Society, if you guys know that band, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, they were coming through, and the radio station, the college radio station, had a swing night one night. They're like, we need a live band. I'm like, I know a live band. I'm like, they play swing music. I was like, Pete, can you guys fucking play swing music? He's like, Sure, Paul. Yes, we totally can play swing music. I'm like, I can get you $500 if you can play swing music. Yes, Paul, we'll totally play swing music. And they fucking came. They didn't fucking play swing music. They got the crowd amped and going crazy. But like the station head was like, they don't sound like a swing band. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're fucking not. But I needed my buddies to have a good gig because they're not getting $500 anywhere else on this tour.
Yeah, no shit.
Might have been their first album. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Mikey, it's to you.
Okay.
It is. There you go.
Well, I guess I'm going to go for I got a twofer.
We like the twofers.
I just want to, I have to give Trust Records a shout out because they're a label that is really like taking old hardcore records and giving them like the reissues and the care that they deserve. The SSD first LP, which has never had a legit reissue ever since it came out. They found the tapes. They got this guy in LA to like completely fucking overhaul the tape. They were moldy. They were like completely fucked. And this dude spent like, a couple months just totally cleaning the tape and just, this sounds pristine. It sounds beautiful. I've only ever heard bootlegs of this record. It sounds incredible. It's just a wonderful, wonderful pressing that Trust did. And then they did the Youth Brigade.
This one I did not know about. Oh.
Sound and Fury, both versions. Youth Brigade, they recorded this record once, had it on tour, decided they didn't like it. They had a bunch of new songs. They went and re-recorded it with Tom Wilson, the legendary producer. The first version was done at Mystic Studios with Doug Moody. So we can, and that's got its own charm and personality, but then they like went and did the new record with Tom Wilson. This has both of them.
Oh, wow.
It's got an incredible, beautiful book that's just got like tons of photos, pictures of the tape boxes. Like I'm just a sucker for this kind of shit. So, and this is just such a beautiful package for a record that, I feel like punk records don't get the love and attention that sometimes they need. So I'm very grateful to Trust Records for doing good work.
Did you hear the first version of that first record at all?
I'd had it because like Youth Brigade had put it out on CD a while ago on a record called Out of Print, and it was I'd known the story of that they'd recorded it and didn't like it and then re-recorded it.
Right.
So I'd known the songs, but this was like the first time it had this is like the complete package with all the flyers and a bunch of liner notes, and it's wonderful.
So, like, there's parts of that. I didn't know that it came with the first record, so now I want to go get it. But there's parts of those things that I've heard records, not so much the Charles Bronson, but like Oswego, and there were other things that were like remastered and like redone, and there are like the imperfections of the first time I heard it that then after it was like remastered, re-recorded, or like remixed, and then I'm like, oh fuck, like being there when it happened, or like hearing those things the first time, now I miss those imperfections. But either way, I'm just anxious to hear it, all of it.
I agree. And like, and they're two different albums, really, like these two. Because they did, like, Men in Blue and Sync with California are not on the first version of the record.
Right.
They're two completely different kind of almost not eras, but it's, when you make a record, it's a time and a place, and they made one in 1982 and one in 1983, and they were both completely different. But they just both happen to be called Sound and Fury. But it's just cool that they have them both there, and I totally get that, but I love like having like different versions of things and different demo versions and stuff. It's like,
that's curious that you say that. And I don't know the timeline of this, but was State of Mind filmed in between those records? Is that why
it might have been? I'm not positive.
Like, I've always been curious about that song Sync with California, but then I think of like Another State of Mind and how they actually did travel the US and like the timeline of that. So that's curious. And to this day, like any one of us could put that song on in a room with our friends and they'd fucking sing along. Like,
I just want to say,
it's one of the best punk songs ever written. Yeah, but like none of that
ridiculous. Like, it's fucking stupid, and I love it.
Modest Proposal, Sync with California, Modest Proposal, Men in Blue are not on this first version of the record. Fight to Unite is not on the first version of the record. Like they're completely different eras of the band, basically. But it's just super cool to have all of this.
Like the version that we had in England at the time was like the second version, obviously, but it had like isn't there like two different sleeve variations?
Even on the second? There's like 3 or 4,
right? Because the one we had was maybe it's like one of the Stern brothers like face, that like photo on it. That's the one that we had. I think it was distributed by Southern in England, maybe. So everyone had that record, and everyone loved it. All like the Disorder punks, like Chaos UK guys, like everyone like loved that record. That was like huge for everyone in the UK. That's what. Yeah, there you go. The UK version had a different cover. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was on Southern in.
I think they distributed it very well in Europe, so that's the one that we got.
Right,
that was a big record for everyone at that time. Everyone loved that record.
Yeah. They were one of the. When I was first getting into punk, I fell into like a crowd of like kind of older kids. I never had like the older brother or whatever that got me into punk, but like some of the older kids, because I was such a rabid music fan when I was younger, that a couple of the older like high school kids would kind of take me under their wing or whatever. And like one of the first bands I got into was Youth Brigade, and it just the actual or the 83 version of Sound of Fury, and it just kind of blew my mind that like there could be a band that sounded like that. It was super cool.
Hey, can we all hang with the boys in blue though? And now, how has that held up well? The boys, the rapping.
I mean, I kind of love the rap.
That's a divider though.
I was walking down the street just the other day.
Yeah, look, hey, if Blondie opened
Yeah, right.
all of the like idiots, right? Like,
I've been listening. They just put out that Out of Step, the outtakes 7-inch, and so Ian's been doing a couple interviews around it. He was saying in one of the interviews that I think one of the songs on Out of Step had like a funk breakdown because they wanted to put like a treble funk.
Trouble, yeah.
I think it was like do 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 like that. That was like way more funky, and he was like rapping over it or something. Like he's like, I have it in the archives. No one will ever hear it. I'd give anything to hear that.
Me too. Yeah. That story about like the wind chime, whatever, was the most expensive part of the whole recording process.
Yeah.
They had to rent one at the time, right? And it was like more expensive than.
He's like, the record cost $500 to make. $350 of it was
the wind chime.
What do we got? Yeah, blame. Yeah,
Royal Crown Review. Yeah, that was the post.
Yep.
Youth Brigade.
Speaking of that, speaking of Discord Records did a lot of things, did a lot of split releases, and now getting back into like all of this stuff that I haven't heard for so long. I've been like digging into some stuff that I used to love and fucking totally be semi-obsessed with. And this is a Discord split release. Does anybody recognize this?
Oh, it's
not yet.
No.
This is a weird Discord split release that goes heavily unnoticed.
Hang on. Shudder to Think.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
I thought it might be.
It's the Vile Cherubs.
Huh.
And it's a weird blend of paisley and psychedelic music with a Discord sound. People later went on to this to like be in like Nation of Ulysses and stuff. But it is like that perfect blend of, at the time, that modern paisley psychedelic stuff with a weird organ, and then bringing in that like gray matter, embrace, minor threat, Rites of Spring stuff together and homogenizing that into like this incredible, stupid, amazing record that hugely goes overlooked for anybody who's like in the psych world, in the paisley world, or likes DC stuff. It is so like categorically split that it almost has no value to most people. But for me, it's spread so thin that it's got a lot of value, because clearly you can't have a lot of records without seeing like value in a little bit of stuff. Like I literally have records that I hate every single song, but I'm like, man, that little guitar thing right there, I'm fucking pushing that back in the stack. But this conquers more than that, because lyrically it's a little bit like dense too, and like some of those more like creepy poetic ways, like the way that Kingface was in some of those bands.
Ooh, okay.
But it hits like the guitar, and then out of nowhere you just get this fucking organ that is like shit, like who's the fucking dude? There's a band from Detroit called The Six that did that. Question Mark the Mysterians kind of shit works into this. So it's the fucking weird, maybe the most ever not Discord release ever, being a Discord half release. Shit, maybe this is a full Discord release. No, it can't be. People would have known about it, right? Like, all you guys are like, I've never seen that before, but it's a fucking Discord release. They're called the Vile Cherubs, and I think why everybody passes it up is because they see this and they think that it's nothing. It's got a couple horns. No one's ever heard of this before, but it's on the back of the record. That's what it is. You can't see it. I'm going to get so you can see it. There it is.
Wild Cherubs.
Wild Cherubs. I've heard of the band name.
9-song posthumous release. Yeah, I got to check that out. That's awesome.
They went on to be in like Nation of Ulysses and all those other bands, but it's a fucking great psych, Paisley, Discord blend of all of that.
Wow.
And there were great Paisley bands in the late 80s doing stuff like in Minneapolis and like further west. There's a couple of great ones in like St. Louis. And psych rock has always been a thing for acid freaks and skateboarders in San Francisco. But this record, to me, encapsulates a thing that, well, I'm just being reminiscent because all of these records have been in storage since the divorce, and now I get them all back. I'll like pull out a little chunk every once in a while and just be like, I've missed you so much. Yeah. I love you so much. That was my Freezing Arizona impression. But yeah.
Paul, we had a band in the UK called Visions of Change.
Yeah.
They came from out of a band called The Depraved, and they were doing like kind of like 60s pop mixed with melodic hardcore. And they had a Hammond organ, and I saw them with Fugazi in the UK. So there's your little tie-in there. That's nice. I got. But
I do want to say my favorite thing. I love the music on this so much, but it was like the little things that they do that make it great. Is there's no label on this record. However many of these there are, it was a silk screened little dude. If you can see.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
It's just a little red silk screen. That's not a label. It's actually silk screened onto the vinyl.
Wow.
Or I don't know, hand markered. I don't know how they did it. It's a red little sunflower guy. Man, I've missed you, buddy.
How many years has it been?
They've been in storage for like 2.5 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
And then over the past 36 weeks, I've been able to like assemble this little pleasure zone.
Welcome to the pleasure zone.
Yes.
No, that's my no-no box. This is my pleasure zone.
I'm gonna change the order of that I had planned to tie in with Paul here a little bit, because I got a DC band too. They've already put out 2 records. One was like 20 years ago, and then the last one was from a couple of years ago. But it might be a little bit overlooked too. It's kind of people will say it's a super group. It's like ex-members of Autoclave and like Slant Six and Bikini Kill. It's a great band. Actually, this is probably the record I probably played the most recently. Here we go. The Casual Dots.
Huh.
Fucking amazing. Like Sanguine Truth. It was produced by Guy from Fugazi. But
nice.
Man, it's like there's a little bit of that Bikini Kill sound in there, but there's also like, okay, there's no bass player in this band. Like 2 guitarists, 3-piece, 2 guitarists, a drummer, and Christina Bilot, who was in Slant Six, Autoclave, on vocals. She has like the best voice I've heard in a long, long time. It's like effortlessly cool. There's none of that kind of like, it's very laid back vocal style, but it works like perfectly with this music. You got like I said, no bassist, 2 guitars like interweaving with each other, and a drummer.
Are they like the Doors?
Not at all. No. Hot Lunch are more like the Doors than the Casual Dots. It's like fucking. There's a bit of like angular stuff in there, like Bikini Kill, and they go like effortlessly into like 60s girl group, like soul pop music, like that.
And it's the singer from Autoclave.
I think if she sang in Autoclave, it's her. Yeah, Christina Bilot and Kathy Wilcox from Bikini Kill.
What would be the single off that, in your opinion?
Well, the song I've been liking a lot is a song called "Live for Yourself," and it's based on a really old like soul 45 called You've Got to Live for Yourself, which is by Bobby Moore and the Foremost, which came out in like 1964. It's like a take on that song. So it's like these like DC like riot girl bands, I guess, like doing this like kind of pop like soul music, and it's amazing. And lots of like spy themes, like spy guitars, like surf guitars, spy guitars.
That's
very. It's honestly this like blew me away when I heard it. I could not believe how great it was. It's very minimalistic, very minimalist, but they do a lot with a little. This band, you know, it's great. Highly recommended. Casual Dots.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Yeah, it's great.
That's quite a fucking pedigree on that too.
Right?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. And the drummer Steve was in the Snoozers and Deep Blast, and I haven't heard either of those bands, but they're all from the DC area, I guess.
Oh, hello.
Hey. Your turn?
What's your animal's name?
I'm out of beer, so I'm listening, but I'm just gonna disappear for a minute.
Go ahead, man. Grab a beer.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your cat's name?
Oh, that's Joan Jett. She's got a black heart on her too. She's got a black heart on her side. So Joan Jett's the obvious one. The other one's Bill. He's too lazy to come over.
Bill Stevenson.
Yeah, he's eating a Snicker that he found taped on the wall.
That's Dave Smalley.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Anyone
Stevenson stole it.
Check out the Casual Dots. I reckon especially Paul will be into this band.
100%. I wrote that down, and I'm gonna check out that. How did you know that song, that 1964 song that they were referencing, or did they say this is a take on that, or you knew the song?
I looked it up because I was suspicious, because it sounds like so much like a kind of 60s like pop like soul song. I was like, hang on, is this an original or is this a cover? And I quickly looked it up, and that's what it is. So yeah, it's so well done. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just imagine that like very minimalist, like I don't know, like K Records style, but like done in like a soul music.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Casual Dots, Sanguine Truth on Ixor Stix Records. I think might be their own label.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I couldn't find any other records on that label except the 2 Casual Dots records. So, but Guy from Fugazi like produced it and everything. So
they gotta be DC area.
They're DC area. Yeah.
Interesting. It's not a Discord record.
It could be. It totally could be. Yeah, it would totally fit in that like Slant 6 that era of Discord. You know, we were kind of mentioning before a little bit.
I love
totally fit in. Absolutely.
I bet you I bet you Jeff Nelson didn't like it because there wasn't country enough. I don't know why I'm saying this shit. I love the guy. He's helped me out with some stuff, but I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, here we go.
All right, God, where we at? Mike's turn.
Woodruff.
Wooders, the woodsman.
Does anybody ever call you Woody? Mike?
All the time.
Okay, can I just do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Woody.
Kill it.
All right. Next stop, Phoenix, Arizona, 1984.
Oh,
a record that
all in.
Now,
yep.
When I was a kid, this girl that hung out with us, her dad was like this hippie guy who looked like a fucking R. Crumb drawing. And at one point, he gave me a mixtape, and it had like punk stuff on it that I am still to this day kind of surprised it would like. That's where I first heard the Freeze and like Angry Samoans from this little old Grateful Dead hippie guy, right? But the one track on it was called Dr. Cutthroat's Revenge, and it was by this band, Achievement, right?
Bloody hell!
It took me years and years to actually find a copy of this record, and then when it was like, you know, a giant weight lifted off my shoulders because I no longer had the tape, but I knew that I wasn't imagining things, right? But this is just a really good. It sounds like early Southern California punk. It sounds a lot like DI. It's mostly really mid tempo, and it's kind of like it's not the poppy up tempo kind of DI. It's more like the Richard Hung himself kind of morose kind of DI stuff. There's a little bit of Fang in there, a little bit of TSOL, but for me, it's as good as any of those bands, and it's just one of those records that just never seems to pop up. It's never got a reissue. It's available on CD, but there's never been a vinyl reissue of it. There's not much about them online. I read an interview with the guy that did the label, which is X Sonic Records from Tempe, Arizona, and he just said that he wanted to release a record by a punk band, and that hadn't done a record on Placebo, because that's where everybody else was, releasing records like JFA and shit. So he, released this record and then didn't ever release anything else. But it's totally competent. It's just as good as any of those bands I mentioned. It's just they're from Arizona and never really got their due, right? So yeah.
I think there were a lot of bands. I think there were a lot of bands on Placebo that didn't quite get their due. Like, I'm not sure why, but that record in particular is kind of cool. Will you hand that down to me?
Oh, here we go. You got to do it diagonally.
Just hand that down to me.
Oh yeah, diagonally. Oh, other way. There we go.
I got it. Yeah, it's
There we go.
That was a bit of a senior achievement there.
It's a terrific record. Here's one of the things that I like about it so much. It almost has that RKL quality about it. It's like these short, fast. Like when I first heard that, same with you. It was on a mixtape that like a friend gave to me. And I was like, this has to be a Mystic band. Like I thought it was a fucking Mystic band because it had all of the great qualities of like Ill Repute and like all of that stuff. Then when I found
it's just not rapid fire fast. That's the whole. Like I kind of liked it because it was plodding and kind of depressed sounding. But
it had those like had the clarity of that stuff, and it's fucking great. Record.
Absolutely, it kind of sounds. It has that kind of hopeless sound to it. Like the vocals, the guy just sounds like his life sucks, and he knows he's gonna die like tomorrow.
Let me hand this back up to you and show them the cover again.
Okay. Look at that! I turned it around before it. Yeah, the cover of that's awesome.
Like this is like a buddy of theirs that like this is clearly back in the day when you had a friend that, like I got a guy that can draw, and he's like this is like one of like a good drawing of a fucking creepy scarecrow in a field.
I like that
impressive use of cross hatching.
Yeah, very similar to the Impulse Manslaughter LP cover, but still fucking good. Reminiscent of like the fucking Christ pose and all that stuff, but whatever, Malachi. Great.
I haven't heard that record since like 1987, 88. It's one of those things you'd get like when you were tape trading and someone would put it on a tape with like the Russian meat squats and like Slime from the Nose of Texas, and you're like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of bands in America that like I've never seen any of these records, and I'm probably never ever going to see them, but it sounds pretty good, on a tape,
I feel like that's one of those records that can still probably be found for like $10 somewhere. Like if there's a kid watching the show who's passed it 100 times, probably filed wrong somewhere. Like Junior Achievement might even be in the Christian section in like your local book and record store.
It's just weird to me because the town I come from is literally like 30,000 people, and there was like me and maybe like 2 other people that were into punk at the time. And the girl that I hung with, she kind of was like on the periphery, like she was into like goth kind of stuff, and she wasn't really into punk. But her dad was the most unlikely guy to have like a punk mixtape, especially with stuff that obscure. And it always stuck in my head. And then it literally took me decades to actually get around to getting a copy of that record, right? So yeah, it's cool.
Oh, that takes you back. Awesome. It really does take you back to like 87 and having it like on a, like a little TDK cassette tape and
in
my cold squat in England. I would have got that around the same time as Youth Brigade too. Definitely.
Yeah.
86, 87, 88. When did that come out, Mike? 85, 86?
84. 84.
84. All right. There you go. Junior achievement. Beautiful.
I got some Discogs
Mikey,
buying to do. I'm up. Okay. Well,
right, Mikey, what you got?
I'm going back to a few minutes ago where we were talking about DC or Maryland. I've been doing the.
Fuck yes, man.
I made a playlist of all the Discord kind of started putting out like for their milestone numbers. They the Right to Spring first demo and the Fugazi demo and the Minor Threat demo, and then like the Void pretty much complete sessions, which I mean Void is still the first Scream record is my favorite DC record of all time.
Nice, man. That's a good.
And I know that Minor Threat fucking rules. I know that Embrace fucking rules. I know, but like that Scream record is incredible. And my second favorite DC band is Void. And when I found out that they were doing just like a complete everything that Void ever did on one LP, it just it blew me away. And they were just so great. And there's a great essay by Ian on the back about how like they were just so fucking unpredictable and so like insane, and just like you just never knew that they were so visceral. Like you just never knew what you were gonna get when you saw Void. It's just an incredible two sides of vinyl. It's insane. Like just these kids just going for it. It's fucking perfect. And so that's just something I've been listening to lately. And I finally just picked up the LP because I've had it digitally for years, but I was just like, that's something I need. I've been getting like things that I just think are just like perfect. I just need to get them on LP to have them forever. So
yeah,
I've always been curious about that band.
Me too.
Because their sound has been. Am I on mute? Oh, okay, no. It's such fucking chaos. This sounds like it's gonna fall apart, like fucking just become clutter at any second. But then you read that like they practiced a lot,
right?
And then like how, like I don't get like how to do that. Like how theatrical. Like are they all like theater majors? They practice like being at that cusp of.
No, it's like, true because you're right. Because it's like, oh, they practiced all the time, but like all of these sessions are like just on the verge of like
collapsing.
This take is going to be fucked.
Yeah, but then like you read about them, and they're like, oh yeah, we played all the time, like we did all of this stuff, and like they rehearsed and they planned, but then. Yeah, I just don't get it.
It's like, interesting.
It's like that's the part of that band that I will always love is their it's just fucking chaos.
Yeah,
that sounds like oh we're gonna play one time and everybody gets a free hamburger. Come out, but no, they played frequently and they have like songs that they were recorded and they recorded them to sound like they were falling apart. Like
right.
It's like super dark too, right? It's not like happy-go-lucky like Minor Threat or any of those bands. It's like darkness to it. Black Sabbath, maybe, I don't know. Heavy prog from the 70s. They were listening to a lot of that, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, they're. Yeah, there's nothing like them, really. Like that's what makes them stand out, even in that scene of. Like the DC scene was super, nobody sounded like everybody else, but
yeah, man, that's
genius. Oh yeah, I wonder. I now that I see that, I do feel like I heard that they they did do like an 84 or 85 maybe. They made a record and it just never.
What's that
came
condensed flesh thing? What's that? Is that like a second LP?
It was an EP, right?
EP,
I think
12-inch EP, right?
Yeah, and I think what's on here is like outtakes from that, maybe.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Because I don't think they put any of the stuff that actually came out.
Right.
On this, but yeah, they're so good.
What was the first voice? So did you hear them on that Flex Your Head thing, or like how did you get it?
That was the first time I heard them. Was Flex Your Head, and then I think around the time when they put out that Discord box set, the 20 years of Discord box set.
Oh yeah.
And there was a disc of unreleased stuff that was just like, and I think there were a couple of Void songs on that, and it just and of course the Faith Void split was I got that post Flex Your Head, but
man, I gotta say something. A lot of my friends did love me for this, but I appreciate the Void stuff. I love that record. I was kind of into the Faith thing.
Yeah,
like I love a good planned out, timed, melodic hardcore song, and maybe
it's an interesting split because those two bands don't really fit together.
I also weird. When I was young, it confused me. When I was young, it confused. Why are these two bands like together?
And actually, in that Ian interview that I was just listening to, he basically he gave the timeline of Discord, and he was like, "Well, we did these 6-7 inches, then we did Flex Your Head, and then we had these two bands that didn't have enough. They had too much for a 7-inch, but not enough for an LP, so we invented the split LP, basically." And so it's just like, because I was more of a Void fan than a Faith fan. Like it didn't. Those two of them didn't make sense to me together. But
everybody loves Void more than Faith. Like that's on that split. Like that's the way. Like I'm the undercard, right? Like I'm not gonna.
I mean, I eventually I came to love the Faith side too, but the Void side was the one that like really, because it was just super interesting. It was just like, what the fuck is this band? This is crazy.
I have a weird thing though, also where I like to read along, and if things go like too fast, or I can't like hear words, and like it's my own limitations. Like if I listen to Swedish hardcore or Finnish hardcore, if there's not like an English translation, like I'm like saying like, so it's my own ignorance, but I want to be able to like read along and like follow like what's going on, because I don't want to accidentally be like, I fucking love this, check it out, and like show my friend who's like from Finland or whatever and be like, yeah, this is fucking Nazi propaganda or like whatever. Right. Like, so yeah, there's also that, which is the Void guitar player is fantastic. Yeah, he is. So
all right,
my next pick is a compilation. And, well, again, it's like going through all of this stuff, finding yourself again. There were 2 comps that I had pulled out for this. I had like 11 records pulled out. This is the one I grabbed right now. I like the State of the Union comp from DC I had pulled out. Great record. In fact, this is the funny thing when I pulled it out today, that Fugazi song that had the muted strings in the beginning. It's like, you know that song on that record? I had 2 tape players, and I took the cassette of the State of the Union cassette in high school and that tape, and I like extended that guitar beginning, and then in the middle I cut the song and like put it so it was like a longer song. And my cousin who was living with me at the time loved that idea, so he took that that Living Color song, Cult of Personality, and his Andrew Dice Clay tape, and replaced the stuff of like MLK and stuff with like all of a sudden the song stopped and be like Hickory Dickory Dock. Anyway, or like, but that's not the record I'm using because I felt like the comp from the late 80s that really like hit me the hardest was this one. They don't get paid, they don't get laid, but boy do they work hard. To me, it has like an interesting aspect of it's got Jawbox, it's got, in my opinion, the best Screeching Weasel song that they have ever done. And
I agree.
Although it even uses like the thing that I hate most about songs. Like one thing I hate about songs is when they call out things that are like about that time. Like if you hear a song about like the Rubik's Cube or like PlayStation or like Madden 4, like that like anchors that song to that point. And in that song, they talk about Axl Rose just for a brief period, but still that song like is so fucking great. The best fucking Screeching Weasel song ever.
Libido Boys. But, hey, Artie, there you go.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was getting to the Libido Boys. And the parts like the parts of this record that like this is like a total vision of punk because Nausea is on here, and it's one of the Nausea songs that is almost like a tribal and goth in a way. Conspiracy of Equals has like that sludge aspect to it. There's a Cringer song on here. Yeah, Lance Hahn, great guy, love him, and it's a really fucking good Cringer song too. But it's Jawbox is on here. You get the first. Go ahead.
I say Distance on there. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Distance on there, and Christ on a Crutch and shit. The whole thing's good.
That Descent song with Superman, Lois wouldn't fuck, so they cut her pay. Harry fired all the blacks today. This is the Clark Kent world. It's fuck it. Is that okay? Superman, ain't you got nothing to say? Fucking great. That's Truth and Justice the American way. It's such a good comp. Overlooked. Fucking, I think still, like I see this in like for under $10 in nearly every record store I go to. And the whole half of the zine that comes with it it's half comp songs by great bands, but the first half of it is all like zines that they were paying tribute to at the time. So like Sam McPheeters, like No Answers, Profane Existence, Dear Jesus, Absolute Zippo, like all of the great zines of the 90s were getting showcased for pages too.
Right.
I think that this is Dead Silence, probably one of the best Dead Silence songs of everything that they've ever done. Gets to my heart every time, but that whole, like every song on here, Christ on a Crutch. It's weird to see everybody that is on this and see where they are now.
Isn't a member of the Foo Fighters?
Nate Mendel, right?
Yeah. Nate Mendel was in Christ on a Crutch. You've got folks from Downfall went on. Well, I mean, that was pre-Operation Ivy, and then like Rancid and
post Operation Ivy, but pre-Rancid.
I
love Shaw.
Screeching Weasel, we know where they are. Libido Boys. I think that the
they got signed to a major, didn't they? After that,
who?
Libido Boys, weren't they on a major label for a while?
Well, it was a Red Disciple. Is that what they were? Like Red Decibel?
Red Decibel, yeah.
Red Decibel. I don't know. Was that
it's Metal Blade. It's a subsidiary of Metal Blade.
There you go.
But the weird thing about that is like once these bands got like traded out that shitty production value that maybe we were talking about with that stuff earlier, like those same songs recorded with like a metal engineer or somebody's like, I'm gonna make you sound like this, is like, I remember when I first heard Dear You by Jawbreaker, and it wasn't like Jawbreaker to me anymore. Like there was a clarity to it that it never had before. There was like enunciation. I was like, I I don't know if I like this as much as I like staying in the lane of having a guy who knows what you did sound like and what you're supposed to sound like, versus somebody like Libido Boys, perfect example. They got a metal producer to do like the following record, and it sank like without a bubble, like not even the Titanic. It was like bubbleless to the bottom, and there were great songs on there that in 7 inches and like this record that were on that on their major label or Metal Blade record that aren't as good as like the rawness.
If things are recorded not well, it's hard to listen to, you know. And like I can't stand some of the. I mean, the Minutemen are one of my favorite bands, but that last record is just sounds like 80s sludge, which is not what the fucking Minutemen are supposed to sound like. And there's that like live in Atlanta on the radio bootleg that it's been around for years. That like those songs are great songs if they sound like they're being played by a live band that doesn't have fucking gated reverb all over it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is those bands from our era or any era that have graduated to like, hey, we're gonna put you in touch with this producer and he's gonna do this. But their charm was like, oh, like I know a guy producer. Like that's what the song, like we grew up on it. Anyway, I just want to like that. Everybody out there should hopefully be able to find that record somewhere for cheap. Don't go on Discogs. Find it in your local store because it's going to be cheaper in your local store. Does everybody here have that record?
I don't. It's funny.
I actually don't either. And
I used to, and I don't. I have a bunch of other Maximum Rock and Roll comps, and that might be the only one that I don't have.
I have turned it around.
That's great. The Cringer song in there, like halfway through the song, they start. They take some lyrics from a Buzzcocks song, from the Going Underground song from the Buzzcocks. So it's like great to like listen to this Cringer song and then hear Lance just belt out some fucking Paul Weller lyrics in the middle, like fucking completely stolen, and it's awesome. And then just bust right back into it.
Jam,
and even the Bazooka Joe from like Myrtle Beach, Virginia. They had Pastor
South Carolina,
Pastor of Muppets. I feel like someone showed that record on this show before. They definitely did.
They did actually.
They did, right?
7-inch.
Yes, someone showed.
Yeah, somebody showed that one, but not the other one. What's the other one? Send in the Clowns.
Send in the Clowns are fucking both perfect. Ridiculous, but don't undercut Conspiracy of Equals. I think they have 2 7-inches, but it's like fucking sludge, gross, kind of like Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid Kids, sludgy, weird punk metal shit.
I mean, this is.
I think they're from Arizona as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. I need to.
Yeah, that's one I just need to kind of get back in the fold.
I can get one for $14.95 on Discogs right now.
So. Fucking get it. Does it have the book? Wait, no, it's fine. Does it have the booklet?
It's actually there. It looks like they're all from Europe, so I'd have to pay some shipping. So we'll see. Oh, unavailable in the United States. Okay, well, I'll figure this out later.
Yeah, do it later.
I'm gonna get it though.
Almost everything I'm showing I might have 2 copies of. Everything
I'm getting every single one of these
multiple copies of, because I'm gonna find somebody that I'm like, do you want this? And in fact, sorry, Foster, I know it's your turn next. There have been times that I've like offered up on the show. I'm like, I've got 2 of this. Somebody DM me and I'll give you this record, like the Beautiful Skin, that Nick Forte like synth pop thing that they fucking did. Nobody contacted me, so I'm still sitting.
It'll happen. Don't give up hope.
Yeah.
I got a trash bin they're going into tomorrow.
All right, round 4. Cheers, everyone. We're having a good time.
Cheers.
The couple next door are having an argument. I don't think anybody can hear that.
I can hear it, actually.
Can you?
Do you have to intervene?
No.
They do it all the time.
They do it all the time.
Did somebody miss junk truck day?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure what's going on.
Did you separate the recycling?
All right. We started off talking about the Golden Shitters. That was Mike's first pick, and it kind of like we were talking about like Dirtnap records. I'm on a big kick with like I've been on like a year or two long year kick with like Dirtnap record stuff. Especially I don't like Radioactivity, like those two LPs, the Bad Sports, like the Markmen, of course, which is older. Just all that stuff, you know, that kind of melodic garage punk that has like a certain sound to it. I just can't get enough of it. Hex Dispensers also, they're not on Dirtnap, but they kind of fit that mold. So I'm always kind of on the lookout for stuff that I haven't heard yet. This is on Dirtnap. It's a good one. If you like Dirtnap punk, I'm renaming this stuff like Dirtnap punk because there's definitely a sound to it. It's this one. I don't know if anyone knows this record stuff. Personality Cult. New Arrows.
It's good.
North Carolina.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's Jeff Burke produced it. Jeff Burke from the Markmen produced it. It's just, I mean, how many times I've talked about these bands so much. It's like, how many times can you keep saying the same thing? But it's like Dirtnap records, melodic garage punk with like every song's a hit. Like the production's perfect. It's kind of raw production. It's just great to have like another one like in that style that I hadn't heard before.
Where this is so fucking petty.
Go ahead.
Where in North Carolina?
I don't know where.
Like, are we talking Chapel Hill? Like, why isn't this unmerged? Like,
let us know in the comments where Personality Cult are from. They're from somewhere in North Carolina, and there's a link in with that band, fucking Paint Fumes, who are also from North Carolina. I love that record. I haven't found a copy yet. Actually, it's on the way. I found one. It's on the way to me. Scott Langley Scoots talked about the Paint Fumes. There's a member or two of Paint Fumes in this band too. I love the Paint Fumes. I love Personality Cult. All I can say is if you love like Dirtnap punk, all those kind of bands, check out Personality Cult because it's on that level of like greatness.
Is that still the same guy doing Dirtnap?
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah.
Ken? Still doing. Okay, so he moved from Portland. Like, where is he out of now?
He lives in Madison now.
Okay. Because he used to go to the store, and
yeah, the Ergs just played, or I guess it was 2 years ago. We played the Dirtnap like 20th anniversary show, and it was in Madison. It was like us and Markmen and Steve Atomic Band, and it was an incredible. I actually played drums for Steve Atomic Band at that show.
Steve Atomic Band's great
and
amazing.
The legendary Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Mahana's my guy. Did you see his comic book?
Yeah.
Did you have that? It's fucking disgusting and amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why. Go ahead.
It was a good time. It was just a great time, and Dirtnap's still going, still killing it. Like,
I just feel like they've done enough stuff now that it's reasonable to say like Dirtnap records punk and people kind of know what it sounds like. Although they do other like more power pop stuff too, but like, you know,
it was definitely one of those labels, and it still is where something will come out and I can just kind of blind buy it, and
right. That's what I do. I just Dirtnap records. It's mine.
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly. Yeah,
no questions asked.
Because those first Bad Sports records went from just like power pop punk to almost like Cure pop punk.
I've only got
like the Estranged records and and all great. Like the guy's got the good taste and can I didn't know it was still going on because I get emails from like Green Noise all the time. I have to switch.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still kind of working together, but they're not like Ken's just not in Portland anymore. So I think
got you.
But he's running the label from Madison.
think, Mike, you kind of signaled that you maybe like this record.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And Steve Adanic's fucking awesome too.
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
I mean,
It's pretty
record.
It's pretty weird because like I'm from Ontario. I'm not from Ottawa. Like that's 4 hours away or something. But Steve Adamic, I've seen him once, and I've been aware of him for like a long time, and he just never ever seems to play anywhere remotely around here, and it sucks.
Yeah,
because the one time I did see him, he was great.
The one time I saw them, I was playing drums, so I've never actually gotten to see the band.
It's fantastic.
But yeah, they came down. It was just him and the bass player, and he was like, "Can you play drums for us for this show?"
Does Steve Adamic do?
Yeah, why not?
Does he do Hosehead Records? Is that his label?
I don't know if he has a label.
I don't know.
Okay.
I imagine. I don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Okay.
Hey, Diego S. I don't know what that shade of green is. Is it mossy or is
this?
Or is it mint?
It's kind of a.
Mm-hmm. That looks mint. That's minty.
I can't tell through the camera. Like, is there something you want to take a bite out of? Or
It's
just
actually the way it looks the same to me here as it does there. It's like, but it looks like the kind of mint you'd get inside of like a chocolate, like a fondant, a cream fondant.
It might be. Mint. Is it seafoam? Maybe is that a seafoam green?
Could be. Seafoam.
It's probably my 18th favorite Jawbreaker song.
Yeah, exactly.
Great record.
Woody, what's next?
That's a good one.
Yeah, Woody, what you got?
What's next is probably the most almost mainstreamy record I've ever showed in the times that I've been on here. I'm sure I'm sure you'll probably all know who this is. Long Beach, California, 1981.
Sublime.
Definitely more. What's that?
I just said Sublime.
No. Oh.
I mean,
so I'm going Suburban Lawns.
Oh yeah!
I've went so long without owning this LP.
Great sounding reissue.
I've had the single. Just got reissued, and Superior Viaduct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, wow. I love this fucking record. Except for there's about 2 songs on it that kind of suck, but by and large, super creative. The songwriting's just inventive as fuck, and Sue Tissue is absolutely bizarre. There's like, a legion of like middle-aged men that are, despondent that she is like dropped off the face of the earth and are like trying to find her, and I can't say as I can blame her for being unfindable, because if there was a legion of middle-aged weirdos looking for me, I'd want to be hidden too. But super good band. I'll also say that she has this weird quality where when she actually is vocalizing, her lips don't fucking move, which is strange. I think she's band. Like a human ventriloquist. Yeah.
Like before I researched that band was so like despondent and like filled with like such sort of like darkness and angst, but had like a silver like curious quality about it. I fucking swear to God, I thought they were from like Minneapolis or the Midwest. Like I thought they were like from like a darker part of the country that has like a hole to actually be a hole in. But like, yeah, that's amazing that record was like a California record.
Yeah, it's so like she just, especially her like the other guys in the band, the guys in the band seem to be a lot more outgoing than her, but she's one of those people that just doesn't look comfortable in her own skin, She's almost kind of like catatonic. And like after this, she was in a couple movies. She was in like Something Wild and shit like that. And then she just dropped off the face of the earth. There's a documentary being made by people that are trying to find her, which is strange, but whatever. Yeah.
So what would be for you? What's the single off that record?
Probably Janitor, because that's probably the most popular song. But I think it's Flying Saucer Safari's good. Gossip's really good. But like Gossip and Janitor are both they're kind of singles anyways. So yeah. It's just the originals of this don't turn up very, very often. When they do, they're totally trashed. And I considered getting the the reissue on Superior Viaduct, but then an original copy popped up and I got it. Like I've had the singles and I've had the 12-inch like for years, but I never had that. So glad I do. Weird band, cool band though. Like their songwriting is great. I find them pretty original, even for the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mikey. Mike 3.
I've been listening. A lot of my vinyl listening has been jazz lately.
Ooh.
And the Ramsay Lewis trio, The In Crowd, just got reissued on this Verve by Request series, and it's just my father gave me this record when I was very young, and so I've had his copy of it for years, which was not taken care of well by either of us. So it's just nice to have a good, nice, clean copy of this record. This is something I've been listening to a lot lately because it just got reissued. And when things just get reissued, it gives me an excuse to put it on the turntable and listen to it a few times.
Pianist, right? Ramsay Lewis, pianist, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
I'm not a real fan of jazz. Like I just don't get it.
I get that too.
But what I'm curious about from a person who's into like blast beats, who writes like a great 4/4 like punk songs. Can you talk a little bit about, or just explain, like, was that an influence to you, or is this like just a memory to you, or does that like help? How did that like shape your musicality, or maybe it didn't? Maybe that's just like a memory of you and your father, and that's separate from what you do now.
Well, like I mean, my dad got me into a lot of jazz when I was young, and I just like got into it as like listening to it. I never aspired to play like that. I mean, but if you listen to the Ergs, some of the Erg stuff, we're throwing jazz interludes into certain parts of our songs and stuff like that. Like we were like kind of throwing that in, but I would never.
Yeah,
exactly right. Like, just kind of just throwing every influence that we had into this thing that is basically punk rock, but hey, we listen to this other shit too.
Mm-hmm.
And but like there was never a point where I thought that I could like be a jazz drummer.
Is that record like just a piano record, or it's got like?
No, it's piano. It's a trio. It's piano, bass, and drums. But the song "The In Crowd" was a pretty big actual hit. If you like one of those, if you when you hear it, you know the song.
Like Ramsay Lewis is like, he's kind of pretty like accessible, like pretty like in the pocket.
Yes,
he's not Cecil Taylor, right? He's not Cecil Taylor.
Yeah, no. It's very, very accessible jazz.
Yeah.
And that, that's the other thing is I love free jazz. I love, hard bop. I love a ton of stuff. And this is definitely kind of like middle of the road jazz. but it's it's just nice to throw on. And I've just been like, if I'm just throwing a record on, I'll throw a jazz record on and just I
feel like I have a couple of his like records from the 70s where he's doing like more funk
kind
of stuff.
Yeah.
They're cool.
And cool. I love some of that shit too. Like a lot of the like when jazz just became funk in the 70s, it's just super rad. And he did an album, it's about to be reissued. I think Vinyl Me Please is doing it, where he just did, it was like a couple months after the White Album by the Beatles came out. He just covered 7 of the songs as like jazz songs.
Wow.
And that's a really great record too. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up that I've been listening to a lot of jazz lately.
Keeping it real, keeping it honest. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
There have been times I've been on here and I've been turned on to like an LP comp of cassettes from Arabic women in Detroit that like
Right.
recorded.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
that
you remember
was
that?
me.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was,
Yeah.
That was Chubi Chubi, the Iraq music. Yeah.
I was like, fuck, that's fucking crazy. Off of cassettes, double LP. Like, yeah.
Right.
So I'm interested to like hear also like your how you are where you are because of that record.
Yeah. That and like, I mean, my dad got me into so much like Motown and James Brown, and just like I feel like
Sure.
I have like such a wide musical palette because my father was like listening to all this really fucking amazing stuff, and then I
love
found
all that
punk
stuff.
rock, via the same. It's funny that you guys were talking about like mixtapes and how you got like a friend of mine made me a mixtape that was just the Angry Samoans on one side and Sinkhole and Naked Ray Gun on the other side, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like this it was such a weird hodgepodge mixtape of like punk rock, but it was just like, holy shit, like all three of these bands fucking rule. Like I can't wait to just dive into whatever the fuck this is.
I remember like the best one I got was like someone made me a tape like that, like a mixtape, and it had like on one side it had like the Embrace record, and on the other side it had the second Gizm album, MAN, both on the same tape. It's beautiful. Absolutely.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I
maintain that Embrace is my favorite Ian MacKaye band. I know. I get it, but my God, I love that.
I don't not get it. I like that record a lot. And those are the songs that go through my head a lot.
It's almost how like Sgt. Pepper's not my favorite Beatles record, even though it's the best Beatles record, but it's not.
When's the last time you listened to that Embrace record?
Probably a couple years ago.
I actually rebought the most recent reissue of that, and honestly it sounds better to me now than it did back then. It's kind of
I like it. I like it. I still like it. I like the clarity of the vocals. I like
Cunt's good too.
Not as angry. It's a little bit more thoughtful. I'm with you. I shouldn't say it, but I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just fucking, it's rad. And maybe it's just because they only had the one record and it's just special, but that's the whole thing. Like all those bands, like Minor Threat only had a couple. Yeah. I mean, they had their discography is
short, right?
What, 45 minutes long?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was like 42, and then they did that 7-inch, and now it's 45.
Right. Yeah.
And the extra tracks are just like a double track recorded of them like arguing.
Right.
It's cool. Like get something like Ramsay.
I love that they did that. That they had like if you put the needle down on a certain point, you hear them arguing about whether they're going to record the songs that you're just about to listen to on the 7-inch.
By the way, and I'm sorry if this is offensive to anybody who's listening or is going to watch.
Here we go.
But the absolute worst thing that ever happened was that like Food Not Bomb's benefit of the entire cover of the Embrace album by like 90s bands of like 90s emo and stuff.
Oh, didn't Lifetime was on it, right? That they did Money.
Like, there were a couple good songs on that, but like how much did this cost? Maybe you just could have given them the $5,000. You know what I mean? Like, it's because there's some good songs on there, but some of them like, oh my God, like, did you hear this back before you were like, yeah, I like it, like. And I'm sorry if no one's gonna see. I don't think
nobody's gonna be.
You know what? I'll fucking stand up for it. If anybody wants to front me and you're watching this and you were on one of those bands and you played on that, then come on, like you fucking know, like you heard it, right? Like you heard it. Like we used to do these like things. I love it so much. So in Kalamazoo, I'm fucking sidebarring this so much, but it's gonna be great. We would have these like, hey, you can come see Los Crudos in our basement. Just bring a can of food, and it's $1 or it's like $3 or whatever. And kids would come up with like can of like white salmon or like cherry pie filling, and I loved it when my like Rob would work the door. He'd be like, no, like, go back. In fact, you're paying $5 to get in.
Right.
Like, you're not just like, this is like supposed to be a benefit for homeless people. You're not bringing cherry pie filling. Like $5 for you, and we'll take your can. Oh shit. Oh,
all right, Paul. Cherry pie. What you got? Fourth pick.
It's funny you bring that up.
Warrant record, maybe.
It's it's the Warrant record. Cherry pie. No, it's not. So mostly everybody I know got into punk rock through like metal. But I got into like punk rock and hardcore directly like from hardcore and like goth chicks and the alternative chicks that I had crushes on. And so I got into Bauhaus a lot. And sort of the darker side of things, while also listening to like the Belching Penguins and No Fraud and shit, like in the other ear. And so I went down a deep hole into like the dark wave goth stuff. And I still say that are you guys familiar with the first Bauhaus record in the Flat Field?
Yep. Big fan.
Amazing record.
Yeah.
You know what could have made it a fucking great punk record? Henry Rollins vocals and Peter Murphy. Like you listen to the fucking drums on that and it's all like it's fucking crazy. It's a fucking great record musically. Put Henry Rollins vocals over that, it'd be one of the best punk rock records ever. Anyway, Bauhaus breaks up. It's a sad day, not only for cloaks and vampire makeup, but what's going to happen? Daniel Ash goes out and does some shit by himself. He does the band Tones on Tail. There's only one record to have by the band. They've got some like disco shit that people like. They've got some other alternative hits that people like. But when I heard this record pop, it changed what I thought about music in a way that it's simple and complex. Like you can hear each instrument through most of the songs, but it's almost like there's an air gap between the instruments. So there's a clarity that I'd never heard before. The lyrics are very dark, but also when you get to the end of it, there's an odd humor to them, which I'd never experienced before, like a dark humor, like Edgar Allan Poe-esque. And legit, like one of the songs on here, Slender Fungus, is like if your granddaddy or grandmammy took you out fishing and they were like chain smokers or like had too much oyster stew the night before and they were like going like and like hawking up a loogie. There's the entire track, the percussion track is just that sound of like chewing up what's in someone's lungs repeating. There's like an odd amount of like matchsticks being lit in various places. Very little drums, but when they come in, it's heavy. The bass on this is unique in a way that you hear a lot of just like melodic bass and things going on. He slides up and hits like the octave notes very interestingly, a lot like the New Order bass player guy, Peter, or the
Hook.
Yeah. Probably peers at the time. The last song on this album, Rain, it might be like a 7-minute track. It's probably the most perfect minimal synth track I've ever heard in my life. Starts out with just some squeaking of a couple synths, some plinking of some things, just comes into a song about like maybe sorrow, maybe happiness, maybe just being inside for the day. but it has a length to it and a perfect cutoff to shut off the B-side, and then it's over. From start to finish, interrupt me whenever you want. When I
actually never heard this band. Never. I'm familiar with like Love and Rockets, which is the other like ex-Powerhouse band, right? But
it's only this one. Anything other than this is like different. But this record, Pop,
I'd actually only ever heard of it because they reissued, I think, that record on Record Store Day.
It's only, and if you don't get anything with B-sides or extra tracks, you just want this because
you just want the record.
Have you ever? It's like a soundscape maze of a movie. Like it's up and down. Like if you want to listen to like a 35-minute record and just put your headphones on and just walk, or just flip something and flip it, it's up. And if you do it at night, it's even better because there's some really fucking creepy stuff. But the end is cathartic and amazing. But it has like the hollowness of it is incredible to me. There are parts that I just can't escape the difference between the sounds of it. Is you can hear like layers of things with some of the sounds. It's like, this is the guitar, this is the drums, this is the bass, and this is the lyrics. There's no blending. You can almost audibly hear a separation. And that was intentional, I think, at the time, because when this came out, it was like Chris and Cozy and the Cocteau Twins, New Order. Like, they all knew how to blend and layer things and do things and make things blend together. But there was a conscious choice to make this sound fucking sparse at times and then come in like a tidal wave at times too. Like the song Real Life, when all of a sudden the drums and the bass and this backward guitar line comes in. Other than me just explaining it, it's unexplainable.
Yeah, it's weird. I might have heard like some of the songs that aren't on that record in passing, but I've never sat down and listened to that record or really listened to that band. It's weird, really, being from the UK and like being,
so James Cathcart, just like Go and that stuff. Like those are the songs that are great. Those are the great dance songs. Like those songs are great, and it's not on this record.
Right.
This is. We all have those records that are great. Start to Jam in the City. I love all the way through, including the Batman theme. Some albums, though, that we all know are like, I'd say, have a great first side and kind of lose it on the second. Ramones have a bunch of those. Nearly every band, I think, we know. It's hard to carry an album all the way through. To me, that one, front to back, just is a wave of like thought, emotion, and it's complex. And especially if you're in a space where your mind can just fucking wander. If you're like doing dropping brown acid and you're in a skate park in San Francisco,
don't listen to Hot Lunch. Listen to
But really, that song "Rain," the last one, it's weird. It's like a 7-minute minimal synth song. The build in that, the lyrics are included.
We can sing along, read along.
Well, read along.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, there's a lot of good picks tonight. Yeah. Last round, right? Last round. I'm like nervous about my last pick. Not because I don't think it's a great record. Just I know that there's a lot of like power pop aficionados amongst us tonight. And I like power pop. I'm a dabbler, you know, like I have a few LPs like here and there. I think like as like an amateur power pop dabbler, like this is one of the best power pop records that I've heard in like recent years. And it's a Canadian band actually from Calgary, Alberta. And they're on the aforementioned Hosehead records that I was talking about. I don't know if there's a link to Steve Adamic with this band or not. Maybe you can let me know. This is a fucking great record.
Stations?
Mandates.
Oh.
Oh, again, I get them. It's like, honestly,
there's just a lot that I just haven't heard, and I
I hadn't heard of this until like a few weeks ago, and I don't remember like why I bought it. I guess it was probably in the cheap bin. That's probably why I bought it. It should not be in the cheap bin. It's like, this is fucking amazing. Like,
but I love records like that. I never would have bought that by the cover, but like I get one person to say like it's great.
Cover like has like okay, this is one of those power pop bands that is almost like 77 punk. It's like powerful power pop. It's like teetering between like power pop and like 77 punk. There's a little bit of like snottiness, a little bit of like old Raw records from the UK kind of sound, and there's some like connection with the Exploding Hearts with this band. Like maybe the producer of this record did like the Exploding Hearts records and the Observers too. I saw that mentioned somewhere. But it reminds me of that band Class that I've also talked about on this show. The band Class.
A couple interesting things that you just said is that Mikey Erg, didn't you do an Exploding Hearts set in last May, 2 Mays ago?
I went and saw Exploding. I did. I did a song because I wanted to get the reissue that. So I went down to Baltimore to pick up the uber limited reissue of it, and I just played a Exploding Hearts song while I was there.
Yeah, oddly, the only 2 times that like
I did just look it up. It is Pat Kearns who recorded the Exploding Hearts. Did record that record.
There you go. I knew I'd read that somewhere. Like there was some connection between those two bands.
So the weird thing about that cover is it looks like it would have been like I would have looked at that, passed it by, because I would have thought like more than a feeling.
And wait for it.
Yeah,
it has that has that filter that their face looking like a little bit pink or yellow or like purple. That they put on.
It could be power pop, and it could be 70s like butt rock or whatever.
Right. It's weird because I think it's a strange choice because like or to me this is edging into like 77 punk territory on a lot of songs. It's quite raw in places. More like the Observers or the Exploding Hearts or.
It's interesting because I only know like the Exploding. I love the way those records sound, and I only know like a couple other records that were done in that place. So I'm interested to hear.
It's fine. Like, I didn't look this up too much, but I remember like saying that it has that guy's touch like all over this record. So it's like if you like the Exploding Hearts sound, you'll love like this record. And there you go.
I'm going to buy that tomorrow.
Honestly, it's amazing. Like in my opinion, it's like put out by Teenage Rampage, Taken by Surprise, and Hosehead Records. It's a 3-label kind of.
I mean, pretty much. Like I want to buy that just because I misjudged it by the covers so much.
I mean,
and then like
I don't know if can you guys see
its cover?
Can you guys see the Fu Manchu record that's like above me?
Mm-hmm.
It's got the same, like, it's got the Boogie Van, the 70s like Boogie Van on the cover, right? It's the same.
I know that. Yeah, I know that Fu Manchu cover.
I guess you know what? I think I bought it because it's on Hosehead Records, and I've got some other good records on Hosehead Records, so that's probably why I bought it.
Yeah, Diego S. Yeah, it looks like a cheap 70s record cover. That's why it gets.
It's not. It's killer like power pop meets 77 punk. Check it out. It's called "In the Back of Your Heart." Is what the record.
In the back of your heart.
You said they're from Calgary. Is that what you said?
They're from Calgary. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of them. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'll check them out.
Yeah.
Dang, Woody, in your backyard.
In his backyard.
Well, it's pretty far.
You're practically neighbors with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm probably closer actually. I'm fucking closer than you are.
I'm probably closer than you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
That's my last pick. Go ahead, Woody. What's your last pick?
I'm gonna finish her off. Every time I've been on here, I always finish it off with a single. This will be no exception, but I'm giving you a twofer. It's my first twofer ever.
There you go.
Nice.
We're going to England, 1977.
All right.
We're going to. Well, after we stop in Calgary, we'll head over to England.
We're going on Wednesday when the weather's nice.
It sounds good to me. Yeah, so kind of the cornerstone of the UK DIY music movement, pretty well-known band. Desperate Bicycles. The first two singles. Like, I mean, there's been a lot spoken about them. Like, they're definitely not a mystery, but they just did shit with the way they wanted. They recorded this stuff. They go into the studio with, the bare minimum as far as instruments go. They would use whatever instruments were laying around. Like if there was a mandolin, a cheese grater, and a stick, it was going to be on the record. Like they just did it with whatever they had, with whatever money they had. That was their sole purpose, was just to record records and release them on their own. These are both on Refill Records, which is their label. Like I said, both from 1977. And they didn't even give a shit about playing shows, but they eventually did end up playing shows. They ended up having a bunch of lineup changes. They split up in like 1981. But these first two, probably the ones I like the most. The stuff after this, it kind of gets a bit washy. I don't find it quite as appealing, but yeah, these first two, you can't go wrong with that at all.
Nice.
And they've never been repressed, and as far as I know, the band doesn't ever want them to be repressed.
Wow.
There's a CDR. There's a CDR that was like sold for educational purposes, supposedly only sold in Russia, but whatever. But other than that, they've never been repressed on vinyl or anything.
Wow.
The band members don't care about that, and I wish there was like a documentary or something, because I think it would be fascinating, but that would go against what the band's about. So never happened. Have to use our imaginations.
So those are great power pop punk records, and I got turned on to them by Stu Anderson from Boy Racer. It was like, Paul, you guys know Boy Racer? He was like, you gotta fucking check this out. And I found them like probably you did after years of research and digging around. But if anybody is into like that complete melody of like great songwriting that has a clarity to it of like a Django guitar, but also punk and hummable, they should be sought after by anybody who wants to get them. Those are great fucking records. Yeah. And it was, Stu. I was like, you got to get him. That band, television personalities, and cigarettes. He was like, Paul, find these bands.
Cigarettes, right.
Yeah.
Those Desperate Bicycle singles look like they seem like something that Sealed Records will be kind of working on reissuing in some way, but maybe it's just like never going to happen, right?
I don't know. Woody, I'm glad you told me not to get the other ones, because those are the two that you have, are the two that I have, and I've kind of had the other ones like on my want list and look out for, but I'm taking you for it.
I mean, you know what?
Knock them off.
They're dead to me. If I owned the other ones, I might warm up to them more because I would listen to them more often. But I've listened to them, a little bit here and there, and I didn't find them quite as memorable as those two, right? Like those ones there. They've got that kind of a ramshackle thing where they almost feel like they're going to fall apart at times, and then there's like all of a sudden there's a goddamn church organ floating through there.
Yes,
there's a suspicious absence of flute, which is irritating to me. But that's why usually when I listen to it, I bring my own.
You play along.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Desperate Bicycles. That's my last.
Beautiful.
Guess what happens after this thing closes is that you're going to play us a little flute.
Wow, that's
hell
right.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that ought to be entertaining.
That'll be a nice little moneymaker on my my Patreon. When I record.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get the free inside scoop, the free inside scoop on the flute.
Scoop Flute. It's my next band name.
All right, Mikey, what's your last pick?
All right. Well, full disclosure, I haven't even listened to this yet, but
Beautiful.
It showed up today. Dead Guy, Fixation on a Coworker.
Okay. The reissue.
Remix, reissue. This is one of the greatest albums to ever come out of New Jersey. And I cannot wait to hear. Apparently, it's just been like, I guess half of it was remixed because they couldn't find the multi-tracks for the rest of the record. But it's just, I'm just glad this is back in print for anybody that wants to listen to it, because it's a brutal, fucking insane record. And I'm just glad that anybody that wants to hear it can hear it.
That's Dead Guy, Fixation on a Coworker, right?
Yes. Which is the greatest album title maybe ever. And I have it on the I got the green slime vinyl, I believe.
Holy fuck.
Holy fuck. That's not what do you call it? That's not Seafoam.
No, it's not Seafoam. Cut by Jeff Powell at Sun, I believe. So like, it's gonna sound good. I can't wait to throw this on the fucking turntable once I have some time.
My favorite thing about Dead Guy is all of their merch that they have going.
Oh yeah, I mean
it's fucking incredible.
Kind of the perfect band.
Like they have fucking air fresheners for each of the members.
What?
They've they have like soft collarful, like the straight collar, like fleece, sort of like warmy sweat pullovers. Like, it's insane. Like the what I fucking love everything that they do. Like everything. Yeah. Like
they're amazing.
Always loved Rorschach. Fucking have known keeping those guys forever. And then like to see Dead Guy now, and it's just fucking incredible. Yeah. Did you see the documentary?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's hysterical. It's honest and hysterical, and I love Singer like kind of taking a step back and being like, that's fucking a young idiot. Like,
yeah. No, and I love that like they're all like kind of just waiting for everybody else to show up, and they're like, is he gonna show up? Is this gonna happen? Blah blah. And like one of my best buds is Chris Pierce, who was like in the last lineup of Dead Guy, and they talk about it. It was like fucking Jim is like, yeah, and then Chris showed up in this fucking beanie, and I was like, fuck this band. This band's over. like Chris showed up. I saw like they did a screening at Nighthawk in Brooklyn. Chris Pierce showed up. He's like, this is the fucking beanie that broke Dead Guy up. He still has the beanie.
I was in Philly and watched that. That was not Chris. Who'd you say? Phil was the guy who said this is the Chris wore a beanie?
Fucking oh god. Yeah, what?
He's got like longer hair.
Yeah. I just had his name.
You know what? Here's the thing about that guy. He fucking smells really good. It's weird. I've told him even a few times when I've like been like in his. I'm like, dude, why do you smell so good? Like he fucking just smells good. Like he smells like he's right off of a papaya tree, or I don't know where papaya comes from. The ground.
So who from Rorschach was in Dead Guy?
Keith.
Oh,
okay.
Keith. Yeah.
Keith Huckins. Yeah.
Because I just got another record by a different band that's also ex Rorschach. I showed it like after the show last week, and I got like tomatoes thrown at me for like it wasn't on the show. It was like Die 116.
Oh, Keith was also in that band.
Oh, really? Okay.
For a little bit of time.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about like because. Okay, look.
I actually like it. It's like helmet-ish kind of.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
Nice. I was like feeling a bit depressed last week because everyone was like, "Fuck that stuff." They're like, I like it. It's good.
So this is my last pick.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
Again, I've been going through some stuff, going through some memories, and I love power pop. And
check out this band Mandates from Calgary.
Yeah, I even have it circled. They're on Dirtnap, right? This band was from like Saratoga Springs. Where would Mikey go? He's got to get a beer.
It's the crucial moment. Cheers, everyone. It's been a good. Let me. You know what? I'm going to announce next week's show now instead of at the end. Let me do that. Paul.
Yeah, do it.
All right. So thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. I'm going to announce next week's show. Like and subscribe. I didn't do the housekeeping. I was so excited about that Dave Smalley Snickers story. I forgot to say like and subscribe. So next week, Daniel Luxon, Sorry State Records. Dan Granado, love Dan from Guerra Final, and Ed Foster from Audacious Madness Records. Next Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, episode 64. See you in the chat. There you go.
I forgot to tell you guys, but we're having babies. We're having twins. Two boys. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Please pay a little extra to get like a free live stream of the birth.
I apologize. I had to use the bathroom.
That's fine.
You missed the bombshell when you. We can. Yeah, we carry on.
All right. So,
I could hear everything in my head. So.
Power pop.
Power pop.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Hit me at a time that I needed this. And the fact that they're still putting out records. And the only thing that I think that didn't make them bigger than where they are is the fact that they signed to, or they went to a bigger label.
The Figs.
Best band in the world.
Look at fucking Mikey. This record right here, start to finish. A great story about this record from my own shit is that yes.
Figs.
I had this on a tape and I didn't realize that yes.
There's the thumbnail for Instagram tomorrow.
Yeah. I got the whole stack. I got all that shit. They've got like 12 records and they're all great.
This record, by the way, if you have it on LP, is a completely different mix and a completely different sequence than or not sequence, but there's different samples. It's a completely different record than the CD, by the way.
Wow. So school us on the Figs.
I only have it on record.
School us on the Figs. I'm new. This is new to me. So
okay, so the Figs. Starting off, Albany, Saratoga Springs, New York. Teenagers just started a band, and God, who's Peter Walkie Records just recently, a few years ago, put out like their first demo. On
really, that's my man Mato. He was here in Japan just last year.
Yeah, but this is out on
tell me about the Figs.
But this is on like Imago or who is that?
Imago,
label or like Madonna's?
Yeah, it's it was a subsidiary of one of the major labels.
And
Rollins Band was on it.
Like if they would have stayed just sort of like riding it out, they would have like worked the wave of bands that became much more popular. But because of this, like every time I saw them, it was like a packed house of like 8 people. They threw out in Michigan, and but then like the next night, like, oh, Poster Children, yes.
Wow.
Wait, is that what we're doing? Are you gonna fucking do this, Mikey? Like,
show your Figs collection.
You want to fucking show your Figs?
I did talk to Pete Donnelly, and he said they had to fight tooth and nail to get this actual label. Like Capitol's like, we don't use that label anymore.
That's the old.
They're like
80s one.
This is like the what
classic.
the Beatles records were
Yeah,
on,
right,
and they were
right.
like, "We want that label," and Capitol was like, "No," and we're like, "We're on Capitol. We want that label."
Yeah. Step Back and Let's Go Pop, the favorite shirt, are quintessentially the best two starters. Stop me if I'm wrong. Like, help
No
me.
question.
Like,
No question.
two fucking starter songs ever of any record, maybe of all time. Bang, one, two into another. The getting down to oh shit, like an antisocial lesbian says you were dull, like all like lyrically everything about this is great. And then you get to the B-side and you get to the song Stood Up, which is song 11 on the B-side, which you have all of these influences, and then all of a sudden the song Stood Up comes in. It pulls in all of the sort of Joe Jackson and Elvis Costello fast pop songs into this one, like maybe even 2-minute song of just about like waiting for a girl on a corner. It's fucking incredible. Cheap record.
Yeah.
Everybody should get it. If you like, I mean, look at back cover.
Let's make it not a cheap record.
Yes.
It's not
the influencer that I am.
No, and they also have a record called Rejects. That's all the stuff that was cut off of the first couple records, and that might be my favorite Figs record. I love that record so much. Like they're
came down from the Ozarks.
Oh my god, yeah, their cover Hillbilly Drummer Girl, like their B-sides were better than most bands' actual albums.
Wow. Still making records.
Yeah.
EF. Let's see. Yeah.
If I were to get one Figs LP, which would it be? Either Rejects. That's not there for a newcomer though, right? Maybe I'm not sure.
Wait, is lo-fi like not a cheap record anymore?
It could be. I mean, I put Banda Macho above lo-fi in my personal, but they're both great.
They're both great.
All right.
Banda Macho was like the Last Guy Lions record, but I feel like
Sucking in Stereo is great.
Just start whichever one I find first at the record store, right?
Right.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
They're not that good.
Well, no, they're all great. I would say lo-fi is like my introduction.
Okay.
And that was like, I love.
Like, they are a good band to go
in order,
album by album.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because their last album is much different from their first album.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean their newer stuff is way more like poppy. It's almost kind of like a Teenage Fan Club-y thing where like they got very, very, very more poppy as they.
But also like they started as their teenagers and now they're like dads with families.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
they have
like different
10, 12 records. I mean they've got a lot of records.
Easily. I was on a Figs fan page. I'm like, hey, I want to. Yeah, of course I am. And I was like, if I gave the Figs like $1,000 to do just like a 5-song EP of like those fast like songs that they did back then, would you guys be into it? And I thought it would be like I thought it was like a yes or no question. But it became like a bunch of people. I had to delete it because people got really fucking pissed at me because they were like so fans. Like, you can't deny their art. The Figs will do what they want to do. I'm like, for a fucking $1,000. Like, I bet they would fucking like take an hour and write 5 songs and put on an EP. I was like, fuck this. I hate your fans more.
Don't go on fan pages. That will be my advice to you.
Pete Donnelly did a residency at a club, and he was asking like friends of his to kind of come up and do a couple songs with him, and I got to do one of them. And he asked me what like Fig song I would want to do, and I chose "What Became of It," which is
yes,
a B-side from Banda Macho, and it's on Rejects. And he's like, "Really? That's?" I was like, "Yes."
That's
like,
what you're going with.
I want to watch you play that song, and I'll play guitar on it too. And it was just like one of the greatest 3 minutes of my life, which is watching him do that.
I've always asked them to like redo, like put that for EP fans only on vinyl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they won't do it. But that song, what's that song that Donnelly does where it starts? You stand in place as the world comes down. Are you faced to, you know? It's such a fucking like all the songs on that record. Great. Yeah,
that's one of the Imago things too. I think right. That was right after.
Yeah.
That first record. They're really great. Like their early stuff is like super power poppy, like actual like fucking power pop. And
power pop in a way that also is like thoughtful, because a lot of it has it's all like New York centric in a way, or like big city centric. So some of the songs are just like fucking taking the bus to a wrong bus stop and being like, what the fuck do we do now? And like, hey, I'm on this corner, there's people walking by, like I'm waiting for you. And then like compelled with like cross reference with like hanging out, waiting for friends. And they're not that desperate though. And
it is cool because it's 3 songwriters on those first couple records, so it's like it never gets too samey. And Guy Lyons' songs are like so weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Those records are so great, and now they're they've been a 3-piece for the last 20 years, I guess. So, they're fucking great.
I went to go see them on their first reunion tour for with this guy Colin. We went to Syracuse and then to Albany and then Syracuse, and we had nothing to do. So literally while we were waiting for them the whole day in Syracuse or whatever, wherever they're from, Springs, Saratoga Springs.
Yeah,
we fell asleep in a park. But it was such a majestic park, like with umbrellas and just people walking around. We looked like 2 homeless kids sleeping in a park. Right. And my friend Colin woke up and he had a sandwich next to him. Like people just felt like no, we just got drunk the night before and came down here to see a band, and like someone put food next to him. Like we can afford food. We were just tired. It was a weird thing.
That's
all right. You all right, Mike? Woody. All right. We started with Cloud Rat. We finished with the Figs. It was a hell of a ride, man. Great picks tonight.
That's right.
A lot of great picks, a lot of variety, a lot of new stuff, unfamiliar stuff, classics, as it should be. I've already introduced last week's show, so I won't do it again. Just tune in next Friday, same time, 10 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on, everyone. We'll talk a little bit. Paul's got some big news he's going to tell us, like off camera. So off camera. Until next time.
World.
Bye.
On the whole world. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay clean.